The religion of Christianity is built around one historical event, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Yet, many skeptics claim that the crucifixion never even happened or that Jesus never existed in the first place. If any of that were true, then Christianity would pretty much collapse just like a house of cards. So, what really happened? Christianity stands or falls on the crucifixion. While atheists often call the entire thing mythology and Islam explicitly denies it, historians are still widely in favor. You see, there's both Christian and non-Christian sources that document the event. The earliest Christian sources include the letters of Paul and the Gospels, and non-Christian sources include Tacitus, Josephus, Lucian of Samosata, and Marbar Serapion. So it's pretty safe to say that both the followers and opponents of Christianity all agree that Jesus was in fact crucified. An atheist might say the Gospels are just myths, but that doesn't line up with how historical mythology actually works. Myths typically develop centuries after the events they describe, not within a single generation, when eyewitnesses are still alive to contradict them. We also know Jesus' crucifixion fits perfectly with what we know about Roman execution practices in the 1st century. Crucifixion was routine for rebels, slaves, and anybody Rome wanted to publicly humiliate. And here's the most important part. Early Christians were Jews. They would never invent a story about their long-awaited Messiah just dying in the most shameful, humiliating way possible. A crucified Messiah was a contradiction in terms for them. That's why historians call the crucifixion an embarrassing detail, precisely the kind of thing people do not want to make up. So the whole narrative of the Gospels were just myths is pretty inaccurate. A Muslim might say it was only made to seem like Jesus was crucified, but it wasn't actually him. Now it's true that the Quran teaches that, but not a single historian actually affirms that idea. The entire story popped up 600 years after the event it describes, so there was no way for it to offer any eyewitness accounts to verify the claim. Besides, if Jesus really was never crucified, then where did the Christians get that idea? The Quran says it was made to seem that Jesus was crucified, and Muslims explain Allah did this in order to save Jesus from death. Seems wholesome, but that would mean the world's largest false religion is actually Allah's doing. He could have just done nothing so that Christianity wouldn't have happened, but instead, he chose to fake the crucifixion, deceiving millions into a false religion he himself created. Both historically and logically, the claim doesn't really hold up. The crucifixion is historically certain. We have multiple testimonies, including from enemies. Inventing an embarrassing death for the Messiah is extremely unlikely. We know crucifixion was a common practice back in Rome, and we have eyewitness claims that show the willingness to die. Nobody would be willing to die for a deliberate lie. And I think the case is pretty solid if even atheist scholars affirm the crucifixion. So yes, Jesus was actually crucified. God bless.